I'm excited to see Kylie Ng. One of my friends said, we've met before. When Groupon came out, I was like, what? What the hell is this? And then it would be great to meet the person who actually came up with it. So maybe he can teach me a few things.
So how do I feel being paired with Alia Basamam? You know, it's funny because at first the name didn't ring a bell. I'm not from the fashion industry, but at the same time, it's when I did Google her up and then when I did meet her, I realized that I have met her before. And then to meet her again and see all that she's achieved, it's inspiring.
I'm very excited about meeting Adrian Yap. I go to the B a lot. I lived around the B in PJ. It's such a great place to meet up. The food is great, but it's so alternative as well at the same time. I'm excited to see the entrepreneur that's behind this brand.
I'm really excited to be paired up with Mike Chung Lin. I've always been a big fan of Nando's. I've always been following the entire growth brand and the company and everything, and it's great to be able to meet her and to talk to her and get a little bit more insight in terms of what drives and what works.
This year is Entrepreneur Tastemakers. So who makes an entrepreneur? Tastemakers are the people who not only have a vision, but they actually just went ahead and started a business. And then these people, they just, go and get, have a vision and go and get things done.
An entrepreneur is one with vision, a lot of passion and determination to succeed. Investor is only interested in the money, but an entrepreneur puts in their heart to make the business happen.
My role as a judge of the Tastemakers for this show is that I have to submit the first 10 names, firstly, that fits the characteristics of entrepreneurs. And from there, the 10 names, we shortlist to 4 names. That's the 4 names, the 4 people you see in the show.
Deciding who makes it on the list is certainly difficult. We have no end of visionaries here in Malaysia. And to be extremely discerning about the sort of people we include in Tastemakers is difficult, but exciting at the same time.
All right, Alia.
Hi.
Yeah, I know. Funny to put the two of us together as tastemakers, right? What does it mean to be a tastemaker?
Being a tastemaker is to inspire, to educate the people with the stuff that you love, you think people can catch on, and being able to create what you have in your vision, put it out there, watch it grow, and to see people love it.
A tastemaker to me would be someone who can influence people around there. Their judgment on what's good, what's trendy, what's funky out there. That to me was a tastemaker, someone who's able to influence the younger generation and the people around us.
Tastemaker. What comes to mind for me is being a true creative. It's you want to do something because you care about it so much from within, you see it coming from yourself. It's not so much because other people want you to do it. You're not doing it because your parents want you to do it or your friends think it's a good idea, And it may be the case, but more importantly, it moves you from within. You feel it. It's because you want to do it. In the process, at first maybe other people might not think it's that awesome, but if you do it and it becomes a really good thing, a really successful thing, other people want to be like that. They see you leading your life in this way and doing these things, and then in that process, the taste is made.
My definition of a tastemaker is, I guess, someone whose opinions and choices a lot of people find relevant or they take to heart. Some people set out to be a tastemaker, some people don't, but naturally it's just people gravitate to it, their opinions and their choices pretty much. And that's, to me, what a tastemaker is, yeah.
Did you detect some kind of a beginning point where you felt like designing clothes for others?
In my free time, I like to draw figures. And I think I picked it up when I was really young. I used to go through my mom's Vogue magazine and trace the female figure. And I think it was the female figure that sort of attracted me to design clothes on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then came the rebellious time when we were in high school. I used to shorten my uniforms for my friends. So they paid me to do that. So I was into architecture, and I did it until my second year, and I had only 1 year to go. But I was really, really unhappy because I've always wanted to do fashion from college. I just drove to my mom's office and I said, I can't do it anymore because I think I need to really do something that I can make, you know. She just like, okay, let's do it. Let's get you into a fashion college. It was pretty easy. It was pretty easy. But I guess she wanted me to go through something first and then realize maybe this is not for me.
I started out in school in Malaysia. I did government school till I was standard 5, and then I went to a private international school here for 2 years before I went over to England at the age of 12. So I was very young when I went over to England, and I went through GCSEs, O-level, A-levels there before going to university to study architecture in Cardiff.
Oh, okay.
So
you're an architect?
I'm an architect, yes, by profession. But yeah, so basically I spent a lot of my life in the UK.
Friend's older brother built like a flash intro, right, which is, you know, some kind of website thingy in Singapore for 20,000 Sing dollars, 2 weeks. So as a 15-year-old, I'm like, whoa, that's some serious cash, man. And like this friend's older brother is like 17 years old. It's not so much older than I am. So me and my friend sat down, okay, we're gonna learn web design. Wow. So I learned HTML, CSS, you know, these early front-end languages to build websites. Now that you know how to do it, who's gonna give you money? Right? Like, who's gonna give me 20,000 Sing dollars, right? So what I would do is that I would flip open the newspaper and I'd look for advertisements in newspaper which didn't have a website URL on it. Then what I'll do, I'll call. I said, hey, I saw your advertisement in newspaper today. I was looking for your website. Oh, you don't have a website. So eventually, yeah, you know, we got some clients here and there, you know, it kind of happened from there, right?
Pretty much, I'm born and bred in PJ. Grew up here all my life till I finished my secondary school, and then I went to the States for my university education. I was there for about 5 years, did finance over there, and I came back early 2000. Yeah. I came back at a time when the financial crisis was happening. That meant that a lot of opportunities within the finance industry was kind of limited at that point in time.
After that 1 year, what happened?
After that, I got a job at Sofira. It's a brand that does resort wear. They do stuff that are quite similar to my style now, I would say. Yeah. So I moved on to another designer, Jovi Mandagi. He's a dear friend. So that's where I learned how to manage a workshop, see how they did things. You know, I was just a junior designer. Yeah. And I wasn't really earning that much money. Yeah. I would not buy clothes. I didn't really feel like it was worth what I want to pay for to wear, you know, like
you'd rather make your own clothes.
I'd rather make my own because I really know how much they cost. So I started making clothes for myself, and people noticed, which was funny because I was more like a wallflower, you know. Yeah, yeah. I just, you know, I don't really try to
be out there, be the center of
like
attention.
Look at my dress and you know.
Yeah.
When you opened your first outlet and when Nando's made its entry into Malaysia, it was also during the Asian financial crisis. What made you think that that was actually a good time to be starting a new business?
And we spoke to the owners of Nando's and they said actually when it comes to bad times, it's actually a perfect time for business to start. Yes, you might not have the great, amazing sales that you might want, but it allows you to build your stability of your restaurant or your business first. There were a lot of people that vacated good sites as well, so the availability of spaces and shopping centres and things also happened. So we had a lot of opportunity. So it's taken a lot to get to where we are. Right now we've got 69 in Malaysia and 11 in Singapore. So in terms of owning numbers of restaurants, we are fourth largest in the world. It's very important because they do see the importance of us being the stepping stone to the rest of Southeast Asia.
Leaving my first job, going into the abyss, I didn't know what business to start, but I knew I wanted to work with Joel Neal. So we tried a bunch of stuff for 2 years. They all made money, but they never amounted to anything big. Joel was like, hey, group buying sounds like a really hot business model. Everywhere around the world, everyone's launching group buying sites, right? So from Chicago, the original Groupon website, right? Like it's spread across the US and there are multiple clones in the US. If it's easily clonable and you want to play that game, you need to know that everyone's going to play the game too. And you don't want to go too far from what works. But you need to understand how it's done in the first place. We took 2.5 weeks to clone it, and we did it well. Within 3 months, it became number 2 in the country, and then Groupon decided to acquire it. And so the whole process was about 4 months plus between deciding to do it, coming at the top of our game, and then getting it acquired. And we said, we got to do something that really, really becomes big. So we got a grant, and we raised money from a venture capitalist. And using that money, we went even more bold with our ideas. That product is called says.com, says.com. Until today, it's one of the top news sites. What we did was we took pictures and snippets and summarized the news, give it like an interesting enough headline, and you just flow and see pictures and sound bites and pictures and sound bites. And so that's where the transition from says.com into RevAsia happened. Yeah, so RevAsia became the new entity that acquired all of the smaller media entities. We acquired a few other media sites and grouped them together into like an online media empire.
So basically, after I got back, and then this whole idea of starting a publication came about. But we wanted a publication that really focused a lot more on like what's happening in KL, what's happening in Penang, and then so we started a company called Freeform, and they published Clue. We did it online, we did it in a magazine form. So the whole thing was really, really about documenting what's happening out there, but at the same time also hoping to be a platform to promote all the interesting talent and all the interesting ideas and things that's happening in Malaysia. Well, Urbanscapes came about as an idea towards the early part of 2000. So we thought, hey, it'd be kind of cool if we had a little event that people could come, pretty much have the magazine come to life. We did it in a small little bar in Jalan Bukit Bintang. We had close to about 500 people show up for the very first time.
Amazing.
So we thought we had something going on there. And so we started developing that and made it an annual event. Generally, we've been lucky. We've had a whole host of different acts. We've had anyone from Franz Ferdinand to Jack Black, who was here last year under Tenacious D. We've had Tegan and Sarah, we had Sigur Rós. We had lots of interesting acts that come through.
We wanted Alia Basmam to be a ready-to-wear resort brand. And then I made a dress for a friend, and that was just because she was a friend. I made a bridal dress, and then suddenly the brides came. And so we fell into bridal, and then we felt like Alia Basmam should be accessible. We wanted everyone to have a piece of the Alia Basmam DNA, so we have Alia B. That's online, that's ready-to-wear online.
On a personal level, I'm a really big fan of the ads you guys do. How did it come about?
So Nando's as a brand, that's one of our DNA as such. It's about being irreverent, it's about being cheeky, and it's about being topical. And also, as we started out, we've got a relatively small marketing budget. So how do you make yourself known with a small marketing budget? And so this whole topical hijacking, in the early days, if it was elections, we would go and stand out there, and they'd stand with picket signs and vote for left wing or right wing, and then we'll give out vouchers for them to come and eat in Nando's. My marketing team are fantastic with the social media and things, they do not need to get my permission to go and put something up. I've said to them, so long as I don't land in jail, you're allowed to do whatever you want to do.
500 Startups is a Silicon Valley-based venture capital firm. What venture capital means, they're giving money to entrepreneurs, essentially, in exchange for shares in a company. I spent more time with them. I went to the Valley to work with them as a mentor. I co-invested with them in different companies. I got to know them. And over time, we decided to build a Southeast Asia fund. I'm tasked with taking the money and investing in other entrepreneurs, not just in Malaysia, but around Southeast Asia. I've invested in the past 12 months, 50 companies, including my taxi, regionally known as Grab Taxi. This is my full-time role now, is to use money to assist these founders to realize the potential of their ideas and their own personal potential.
we were doing the magazine thing for a while, and we felt like, we're in that period of time where we felt, okay, this is getting a little challenging, right, for the media business. How do we stay in the media industry and everything? But we were in Jaya. One, our office was there. We had an office there for the longest time, so I sort of knew the landlord of the entire development, and he said, well, I have an empty lot there for like 1,000 square feet. If you're up for something, we can talk about it. So I said, okay, why don't we try and open a little cafe? Know next to nothing about F&B, and said, okay, we'll open a cafe, but the idea is that we'll function sort of like what we do in the magazine, and then we'll, put people on stage, we'll do lots of activities, we'll do a lot of events, we'll do book readings, we'll do all kinds of interesting stuff. The food, we try to keep relatively simple. It tends to be more American, casual dining type style food. So it's very much more Tex-Mex and burgers, sandwiches, salads, stuff along those lines. So yeah, so it's casual dining, yeah, pretty much, for the week.
In the dictionary of Alia Bastamam, define being an entrepreneur.
I feel like it's having the freedom to create something that you work on and putting out there and see how it's received. Yeah, and so far it's been great.
That's cool.
An entrepreneur to me is somebody who leaves the norms of a working life to start up on their own. They need a lot of courage, a lot of fire in the belly. This is a very Nanda's terms. To have that ability to step out and to invest their own money and their time to build a business. And I think that's the most important part, that starting up, that courage to go and do something else different.
You're not an entrepreneur if you're a hobbyist and it gets paid for. It's like you organize some gigs, you make a little money here and there, or you create art and then someone buys your painting and that's about it, right? If you create an art business or you become like an artist where many people buying all of your art, I would say that you're an incredible entrepreneur because you went from designing pouches for your friends in high school and now people are buying your clothes the world over, right? And even when you're asleep, somebody's buying your clothes somewhere, somebody's putting in orders and something's getting done, right? That is an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur makes money, the entrepreneur builds a business that keeps on growing beyond themselves.
For me, an entrepreneur is, I guess, someone who looks at what things are and figures out how they can actually do things differently, how they can improve something. Someone who basically doesn't accept things as they are, but more importantly, not just identifying it, but actually sticking with it and seeing it through. I think that's to me what an entrepreneur is. Yeah.
Do you have any advice for aspiring entrepreneurs?
Yeah, I think I will quote Matthew Williamson. You first have to have a vision of what you believe, and then the rest will follow. Work hard, play hard, play harder.
It's a great journey, but there will be a lot of hurdles. There will be times when you have people knocking on your door asking for money and things like that. But if I had to advise entrepreneurs, it's just persevere. It's really about perseverance. It's about thinking out the box. It's about every time you hit a hurdle, it's about picking yourself up and finding a way to work around it. And I think that's the key thing.
My advice is to stop aspiring and to just do it. Just get started. Go from aspiring entrepreneur into entrepreneur. Even if it means to the early entrepreneur, an emerging entrepreneur, a struggling entrepreneur, just do it. So that feeling, once you get it out there and then people are buying things, people are giving you feedback, and you create your next product, then you're on a roll. You're on a roll. And then the advice for entrepreneurs on a roll is very different. But for aspiring entrepreneurs, get started. Get it out there. Stop aspiring, start doing.
You have to sort of view setbacks and challenges as lessons. And you have to have that mindset from the very beginning. See it as this is just part of the lesson, part of how you develop as an individual, and accept the fact and be glad that it's happening, because then you sort of see it differently. You don't see it as a negative thing. You sort of say, okay, great, I've come to that checkpoint. I have to sit for this exam. I need to go through this. I need to, and then I think it's a lot easier and less stressful for you because you just accept that these things happen and it's part of the process.
What does it mean to be Malaysian? Are you proud to be Malaysian?
Yeah, I am proud to be a Malaysian. I'm very Malaysian. I grew up here. I never went abroad to study, so I never really got to live abroad. I love traveling. I travel a lot, but when it gets too long, I truly miss Malaysia. I think it's something about the diversity of our culture and how we tolerate each other and the food. And the food, that's what I miss actually. Yeah.
Malaysian, to me, is about the multiracial country, the fact that we live in a multiracial country. You find that everyone lives differently from you, and it's about the exposure into other people's lives. The other thing that's very big for me about Malaysia is really the food. People in Malaysia love food. We have breakfast, we have such a variety for breakfast. You have your lunch options, you have your tea times, your suppers. We can eat at any time of the day. People find excuses to just eat together all the time in Malaysia, and to me that is Malaysia. It's that eating environment and the socializing.
I defend Malaysia constantly in the eyes of the world, right? Not because I'm trying to be a freaking hero, it's because people ask me tough questions about my country. You know, I do business with people from all over the world. They'll ask me tough questions, and I have to answer these questions. And when I can't have a good answer to a tough question about being Malaysian, I say I don't have a good answer. I think Malaysia is going through challenges as a growing nation. Every growing nation has so many challenges. We got to deal with it. We got to roll with the punches. We got to find solutions. So I would say being a Malaysian means being a responsible Malaysian, being true to who you are, but being real about challenges. And again, getting off the couch and doing something about it.
When you go out of the country and you speak to someone, you're really incredibly proud of being Malaysian. I think that's a unique and a funny trait about Malaysians is that we tend to, when we live in Malaysia, we have a lot of things to complain about. We're very cynical about everything. But deep down inside, whether we project that or not publicly, we are very proud to be Malaysians. You know, and I find that very common that someone goes abroad and then they speak to someone and someone says something about Malaysia and you're like, no, this is not what it is. You just don't naturally defend the country or the people that's here. I find that that's very Malaysian, to me,
For Malaysia, when you looked at it from restaurant to fashions to IT startup, we have a variety different types of tastemakers. I feel like a lot of the tastemakers in Malaysia, they're more creative in that sense. They're not sort of restricted by, the 9 to 6 or, the fact that it's a skyscraper city, that they think differently.